Hello and welcome back to a bit of fun, I guess. I have my rear-wheel drive Tesla Model 3 and I'm about to take it on one of the best driving roads in the country, but I won't be driving. I know, it's sacrilege, but I'm curious. And for the sake of science, I think we should see how well FSD does. Honestly, I think it's one of the only systems that probably could do this caliber of mountain road, let alone getting me here to northern Pasadena from Burbank through all sorts of traffic and stoplights and everything, doing it completely hands-free, by the way. Yeah, there are other good systems on the market, but they typically excel in highway conditions. Some lane centering, of course, in other scenarios, but they all seem to have their limitations. Tesla's FSD is not perfect. It is not, I would say, ready for full autonomy, but it is fun to kind of capture it along the way of its trajectory towards full autonomy whenever that may happen. So let's camera up and see how well FSD takes on Angeles Crest Highway. Before we set off, and if you're curious, this is the Model 3, and this is kind of the route we'll be taking. So Angeles Crest Highway does actually go all the way over here, all the way back to Route 2 on the other side of these mountains, the San Gabriel Mountains. Honestly, we're just going to do the first, like, I don't know, 10 to 15 miles, which is still a long ways and obviously a lot of windy road, but it's like the first more intense, more steep part. I'm really excited to try this out and see how it handles. Angeles Crest Highway is a very famous road, and a lot of car enthusiasts love it. I'm a bit worried about being in the way of car enthusiasts today, but I will have FSD in hurry mode, so we'll see how fast it actually gets up this road and whether or not we'll be stuck behind traffic or if traffic will be stuck behind us. If it is bad, I will, of course, just pull off on like a straight section because obviously FSD can handle the straights. I'm really curious how it'll do in the curves, in the decreasing radius sections, blind corners. Like, I don't know, I have a lot of questions that should hopefully be answered by this video. So we're looking at, I don't know, roughly 12 miles up. It should use about 1% per mile because it is definitely uphill quite a bit, but we should also gain some energy coming back down in theory. I'll mention some thoughts on FSD as well while we're doing this drive because, yeah, I've been living with it in LA now for about a week. So putting it into hurry mode, let's see what happens, shall we? The speed limit largely on this road is like 45 miles an hour. I'm ready to take over anytime. Oh my God, it went into that curve kind of hot. So yeah, speed limit 45. I feel like hurry mode is going to try to approach the speed limit as much as humanly possible. But most of these curves, especially in this initial section, will not be able to have the speed limit because they are so much sharper. But I feel like so far it's doing well. But I do have some trust issues based on that first turn in. Jeez. But I guess while I'm here, we may as well talk about some of the history of Angeles Crest Highway. Such a cool road. Construction started in 1929. It was not finished until 1956. They did take a 5-year break during World War II, understandably. And it was originally meant to be a fire road, but they actually, yeah, eventually turned it public. And actually it was meant to be a freeway, which is crazy, but they realized, hey, this is going to be too tight and a bit too chaotic to have something considered a freeway. So far so good, but we are hitting some traffic. This is a very normal piece of Angeles Crest, unfortunately. If you want to hit it without traffic, you basically have to go, I don't know, at sunrise. And if any aggressive traffic comes up behind me, I will just get out of their way, I do promise. But right now, the traffic is the problem. I expected the opposite to happen. I thought we would be holding people up, and instead it's a Tacoma, as usual. But this is not only a good road, but one of the most beautiful places. It is a place where you'll see a lot of beautiful cars, but also a lot of beautiful scenery. This is Angeles National Forest, hence the road Angeles Crest Highway, located in the San Gabriel Mountains. It starts at, I actually don't know what our elevation was back there, I can check, but it does crest at the crest at almost 8,000 feet. We're not going that far. That would be a really long video, although I guess I could chop it up. But we are just going to do, the first intense section, because I know this car can do elevation. It's more of the speed and turns and traffic and everything associated with that. You'll know we've made it when FSD will actually, you know, get over, turn signal on at a passing zone, let people by, and then continue on its way. Or take advantage of people who try to do that, which I think it does okay at that. It does okay with cars that are pulled over or, you know, kind of stopped in the middle of the road. It'll pull around them, but it struggles to be that person, that machine that gets pulled around. And if we don't lose this traffic, I may also pull over and wait for a more open spot, because this feels a little bit cheating. Although I'm convinced no other system that I've driven would be able to do this, and I feel like I've tested most everything. Although I will say I was just in China testing Zeekr, and that seemed to handle some pretty impressive just around town low speed stuff. This though could push it to its limit. Okay, well, the speed limit is 40 and we're doing 40, so I guess so far so good. We're not really slowed down dramatically or anything. That curve back there said 30 miles an hour, and I guess that's what everyone else has slowed down to, so the car did it. But here's another part that says curve 25 miles an hour. We'll see what all these people do, but so far, I mean, not much to report. This thing handles it just fine. Obviously, lots of people have used this road for filming YouTube videos. Some probably more dangerous than they should have been, but it's also been used in some pop culture. I believe there's a movie called Donnie Darko or Donnie Danko, something like that, was actually filmed with a lot of parts on this road. But also the Herbie movies. Remember that old Beetle from like the 50s? Those movies, two of those movies at least, had parts that were filmed on this road as well, which is awesome. I kind of want to go rewatch those now just to remember, well, to see the road in its true action. It's also been unfortunately made slightly famous because of some crazy crashes and also murders, sort of. People aren't necessarily murdered here, but there's actually been a number of murder bodies that were disposed of out here for some reason. I guess it is fairly remote and people thinking, oh, I'll just throw it off the edge of a cliff. But it's kind of wild that that's part of the history of Angeles Crest. But traffic is relatively heavy, although a lot of it's just hiking. There is, of course, the Newcomb's Ranch up further, way further up. That is a famous spot for car people to gather. Of course, it was an actual ranch. It was actually the only like private establishment on this entire road for a long time, grandfathered in by, I think, the Newcomb family, who initially settled in it in like the late 1800s. Unfortunately, it was finally sold and shut down in like 2019 or 2021, something like that. Maybe because of COVID, I'm not really sure. And now it's, I think, just recently come under new ownership. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, we just hit 3,000 feet elevation, and our average is, what is that, 600 watt hours per mile. So less than 2 miles per kilowatt hour. Not very efficient. Although I've been in some cars that really get drained. Me and Kyle tested the Lotus Emira and the Cayman, and I think the Emira was averaging like 9 miles per gallon. Pretty rough. But as far as traffic on this road, yes, a lot of local traffic for hiking, sightseeing, driving. They actually don't allow trucks with 3 or more axles, so that really helps. There was actually a really bad fatal accident with a semi-truck at one point, so that was kind of just completely, they're like, know what, 2 axles is it. So that's good to know. Although I'd be curious if they would like hold up on something like a 6x6 G-Wagon, if that would be like kicked out if someone tried to drive that on here. I doubt it, but that'd be interesting. There are some civilian 6x6 cars. Okay, I'm gonna pull off here, get some drone shots, let traffic ease up, and then I'll keep going. Okay, windows down, listening for traffic to finally die down. I've seen some gaps while I was flying the drone, but it's kind of busy. But let's press and hold and see what happens. Will it know to go all the way over there from this huge pullout? Is it gonna get behind this Kia? Are you kidding? Okay, good. Let's see what happens. We have a gap. Let's go. Go. All right, back in hurry mode and back in action. Let's see how it handles the rest of this drive. We're not quite halfway to at least the marker I was planning on, which I think is a strawberry field. Not field, it can't be a field. There's no fields up here. Strawberry something. Heading into the corner hard, and fortunately we just have a CRV behind us. So if we hold back the CRV, we'll know there's a problem with FSD being, well, too slow. There's an influencer right there with his weights and his camera and his laptop. The people you see up here, I've met some crazy people up here, but also a lot of just really fun people, to be fair. There's a cool spot where I parked and got some Miata photos when I had my Miata out here 6 months ago. And you can also see LA on a clear day, which is pretty cool. So we'll see what we can see in the final pull-off once we get up there. But glad we have no traffic now. We are currently doing 6.5 over the speed limit and heading into another corner, somewhat hard, but honestly pretty normal too. Like, this is how I would say, actually, if anything, FSD is driving this road a bit faster than the average person. I've been passenger to, I'd say, non-car people who have driven up here, and it's safe to say this is definitely a bit faster than the average person would take, I think, this road. But we still have some tight sections ahead. Woo, that guy was... You gotta watch out. This is a very dangerous road because a lot of people do not adhere to the rules of sticking between the mustard and the mayo, as you call it. In fact, while I was parked there flying the drone, I saw a Nissan 350Z pass on the double yellow around a blind corner. Absolutely terrifying and incredibly dangerous. I mean, you don't know when someone's coming around a blind corner. So, but FSD seems unfazed by, I guess, blind corners so far. Let's see how the rest of this goes. I think we have a bit of a straighter section coming up here. We've done kind of most of the turns at this point, and then we have another section of really tight turns before we get to our turnaround spot. And then we can see how FSD does on the way down when you're carrying more speed, more momentum, and we'll also compare our efficiencies, because right now, yeah, we're doing like 1.5 miles per kilowatt hour. It's hilariously bad. End daylight headlight section. So yes, from the start up to now is where you have to legally have your lights on, or at least DRLs, which most every car has nowadays. And this is also the turnoff to, I forget what road that is, Tahunga Canyon maybe? I can't remember. But that's another popular road back there that many people love, and that's where all the traffic is going. It looks like Angeles Crest is closed further up, so fortunately shouldn't affect us here, but we'll see how far we can go, or at least get enough of a chunk to have a good idea of how this handles the road. But I guess you can consider this a bit of a tour of Angeles Crest because, well, a lot of people film car reviews up here. You know, Matt Farah's done a lot up here, Kyle's done a lot of reviews on this road. I've even done some stuff, but it's usually like little sections here and there, bits and pieces, but I guess I'm doing an unfiltered kind of raw take of FSD on Angeles Crest, so you can see everything in its entirety, just if you're curious, for nothing else. For reference, I'm recording this on May 8th. Happy birthday, Dad. And this is on FSD, I think 13.2.8. So the latest as of May 8th, 2025. Yes, I do have a pending update installed, but that's for Matrix headlight functionality. That has nothing to do with the actual self-driving. No worries there. This is actually an enjoyable clip. Yes, you can go faster, but also faster would be illegal. This is already doing allegedly above the speed limit. So I'm so far impressed. It's not just like tootling along. It's actually really handling decent speed. Now we have a speed limit increasing to 45. I'm curious if this gets even more aggressive, but we also have a bunch of tight turns right up here. Let's see what happens. I'm also watching for FSD crossing any of the lines, because that's, yeah, as I mentioned, a big no-no on this road. Mountain roads in general, you should just never risk crossing the double yellow, and honestly, not the white either if you can help it. Sometimes you'll find like excessive debris or rocks off to the edge. Even on the road, though, you have to watch out in general. But on this road, there's a lot of motorcyclists, a lot of cars not adhering to the rules, crossing the double yellow, so you just eyes on the road, be super aware at all times. FSD is now doing 10 under the speed limit in these really sharp turns. I feel like it could do faster. Come on, buddy. Where's the aggression? Where's the speed? My windshield is mostly clean, but like honestly not that clean. I'm very sorry, Colton. I didn't bring any detailing spray, so I'm working with some microfibers and a bit of water in a pinch to try to get this filmed before sunset. So apologies to our out of spec detailing comrade. All right, well, that was really not too bad. Very excellent job, FSD. I think I will turn around and go back to this. I'll overlook just a couple corners back, and we'll kind of reassess, readjust, and head back down the mountains. I'm not really sure what it's doing now. This is one of my beefs with FSD. They've advertised for, since before I got this, well, since around the time I got this car, FSD stated that they would have instructions on destination coming soon. And they've advertised that for months and months now, with no actual idea on when it's actually coming. So for now, when it gets to a destination, it just kind of randomly decides to do something. Sometimes it means parking. Sometimes it means nosing into a supercharger that you have to back into typically. Sometimes it means wandering around a parking lot, just like we're doing right now. What? Where are you going? What is over here? It's just exploring. Let's see what it wants to do. There's a rock. There's a rock. This is not a driveway. Come on, you silly thing. Okay, let the test continue. See what it does. It's actually getting pretty good at leaving these turnouts that are clearly not even marked as a road necessarily. But it is, okay, waiting for this truck, and let's go. Let's see if we can keep up with the truck. He is hauling. So we got like actually less than that, maybe 1.3 miles per kilowatt hour going up. Let's see what it is going down. We have elevation decrease, so probably more natural speed. So I'm guessing the car is going to try to compensate by slowing down even more. Also a bit more sun glare, so the car could also slow down because it's less positive about where it's going if the sun is glaring into the cameras. I guess there's some instances where I've seen other car systems give up, where FSD maybe should have given up, but instead it tries to continue onward just a little less or a little more cautious. And here it feels like it is trying to take the cautious approach. So the truck went on without us. We are not able to keep up with him, which is kind of surprising. I wonder how his brakes are going to be at the end though, because he really was hauling. But we are doing, yeah, less than the speed limit, as I kind of suspected, but still hurry mode. So I guess if hurry mode does feel too intense for you on a mountain road, you could always switch it back to standard or even chill. But that being said, this is, okay, two things. This is actually a fun way to experience these types of roads, because you can actually take glimpses at the scenery, which would normally be a bit more dangerous. However, I think that's still a bit dangerous. Like, don't take FSD for granted, because I feel like it could still mess up somewhere. Nice S2000, that was super clean. But now, yeah, it seems like there's a bit more of a pulsing on the brakes as we enter direct sun glare, but the sun is not truly super low. Like, it's not, you know, it's still a couple hours till sunset. So hopefully that means we won't see actual blinding for the cameras. But still, a lot of nice scenery to take in, and probably a bit more than you could take in if you were actually driving yourself. So this is kind of the longer, straighter section. Still some obvious curves and corners, but relatively speaking, it's a bit straighter. And it's still not really exceeding the speed limit. Like, hurry mode on like a public road, like in the city, feels like, honestly, it's too much speeding. I'm like, okay, on one hand, I'm glad this is taking me on a hurry, but also I'd be afraid of like cops. Whereas out here, it feels like it's really not pushing the speed limit at all, which maybe is a cautious thing, maybe is, I'm not really sure. Wow, it's amazing to see all this traffic. They're all going at that turnoff back there to go on the other road. Oh, it feels like it came into that corner a little hot and it jabbed the brakes a bit more than I would have liked. Coming in hot here, nice. That's relatively aggressive. Oh, got a little photo shoot happening there. I know I've said this like 18 times, but it is absolutely gorgeous up here. All right, well, we lost the main GoPro, so I turned around and came back up to where we lost it so I could start again and back on the system. GoPros suck ass. Technical term. So heading right back down, right down here where I turned around, there is a gorgeous old, I don't know, is it a 956 Porsche doing a photo shoot right here. That is so beautiful. Jeez. I really do wish I lived like on this road or at the base of Angeles Crest. Like, that would be actually incredible. I would do so many photo shoots up here. Here's the guy doing his workout with his phone. It's hilarious. In his 5 Series. Ford Explorer ST with a 360 camera. Okay. Honda Civic actually flying. Or was it an Accord? I can't really tell anymore. They keep changing the design. Okay, it came into this corner really cautiously. Definitely considerably under the speed limit. It could have done a bit faster, but just wasn't really aware of what was coming up. Now, a caveat I guess I could mention is there is no connectivity up here. And so if the car is expecting more data on the road through connectivity, that could be a hiccup. I'm getting ready to take over if I need to, but so far so good. These corners right here, though, these are the ones that scare me, because those are the ones where people kind of cut the corner a little bit. It's always terrifying. I'm glad to report FSD doesn't seem to be cutting any corners, so that's helpful. Okay, it did nudge up above the speed limit there, and then a little dab of brakes coming into this corner. It's really interesting. I mean, it'd be so much fun to like do a track session in a true race car once we have like actual self-driving capabilities that are like robotically race caringly amazing, where you could like talk about like lift-off oversteer as the system's doing that. This is not really to that level, but it is interesting to see it kind of touch the brakes versus accelerate in cornering, in decreasing radius corners. It's definitely super fascinating. And I really don't know if FSD 12 could have actually done this road. I feel like there's been so many limitations with 12. It was, on one hand, still impressive for the time, but 13 felt like such a huge jump. I really am curious. If anyone has FSD 12 still and wants to like jump up and try this road, I'm really genuinely curious if it could do it, you know, before they switch to the actual like neural network stack, or if anyone tried FSD in previous years before that. I mean, FSD has been around for like 6 years. Not that it could always do much of everything, but really curious if others have tried Angeles Crest or similar mountain roads with FSD. I'd be really keen to see how, or hear about how well it went, or if it made some serious errors. What were those errors? Now it seems genuinely able to tackle it. I wasn't sure what to expect. I didn't know if it would have any silly mistakes, but then do most of it really well. That's kind of maybe what I was leaning into expecting. Wow, a bunch of sobs just now. But yeah, I guess I expected it to handle it really well. I mean, on one hand, I've lived with FSD for thousands and thousands of miles through all sorts of conditions, but I still expected to like have to correct it at least once or something, but so far, nothing. I will say an error that it continually does, and that's still one of my main issues with hurry mode, is that it is obsessed with staying in the leftmost lane because it assumes that's where traffic would be moving the most. Of course, it's not afraid to pass on the right in hurry mode. It does that all the time. But in situations like going uphill, I should have mentioned this earlier, it would stay in the left lane, even though you should technically go the right lane to allow people to pass. Now, there was no one up behind us to pass, so it might have actually gone to the right lane if there was someone on our tail, but that's just, on mountain roads in general, you should just stick over to the right side just in case someone flies up behind you. Ooh, the car got freaked out a little bit by the motorcycle passing us. Okay, well, no real issues. Okay. We're pretty much back to where we started. For the sake of science, I'm going to push it back to chill mode and see if that makes any notable difference, just doing a couple corners here. And I kind of selfishly want to get a picture back up there. So gently up to the speed limit and boom, FSD chill mode. Okay, it's still like impressively holding close to the speed limit. I do feel like on a mountain road situation, someone who is of the chill mindset would actually be uncomfortable with how quickly it's moving in this scenario. I've seen so many people go much slower than this on this road, and I would assume chill would be closer to the very conservative side of mountain road driving. Okay, I did a turn signal there, and it decided to take the, that's awesome. That's so cool. It just took the turn out because I did the turn signal. And now is it parking? Yes, it is. It is parking. Okay, well, good enough for me. Let's get a photo, call it a day. Okay, well, that was really interesting. Pulling off on a pull off just by me tapping the turn signal. I wonder if that was because the car was behind me. I mean, I don't really know. I'm still learning the, I guess, brain behind FSD and like what would it do in certain scenarios. Really hoping to meet up with AI Driver. I think that'd be really interesting to have him on the show to talk about maybe his recent findings as well, because he's been covering FSD for a long time. So that's really it. There was a Model Y absolutely hauling. That's awesome. But he was manually driving, which means he was probably having more fun. So another interesting way to see Angeles Crest Highway, ACH. Again, one of my favorite roads. I will continually come back here and drive it every chance I get. So let me know what you guys thought. Are you surprised that it didn't really have many issues? Was this a boring video because of that? Maybe I should try some other systems and figure out exactly where they have issues. But here's the thing. We've tried most every highway, well, just ADAS system on highways, which are less aggressive turns, and every other system has pretty much had at least a couple shutoffs. So if it can't handle a highway, then I really don't think it would handle a 2-lane and like aggressive mountain road. I could be wrong. I kind of hope I'm wrong, because I hope all the other systems at some point catch up, but it really does feel like FSD is still kind of leagues ahead of pretty much every other system. I know that makes me sound like a Tesla fanboy, but I just appreciate good ADAS and good tech, and FSD is that. Tesla doesn't do everything perfectly. Of course, there's a lot of backlash on various things about what they've done, and you can't always trust them, as we just have seen with the Cybertruck range extender now being not extended. I don't know how to say that. But FSD as it sits is really, really quite impressive. They're saying it's going to be, unsupervised in certain locations in the next couple months, possibly. I'll, I guess, believe it when I see it, although it probably is more likely to have it unsupervised in more tight-knit areas. It's really the edge cases that are interesting to me, and that's something I'll continually talk about. So, hoping to bring you guys another, oh, there we go, Macan EV, nice. Hoping to bring you guys another video while I'm out here in California, just talking about FSD in the city, in traffic, get Jess's thoughts, of course, because she's been living with it as well. So more stuff to come on FSD, and as usual, if another crazy big update comes out, we'll be testing that. We'll be testing how it handles choosing a direction or a task on destination. Lots more to cover with FSD, but in the meantime, just gonna let FSD take me home, and thanks for watching.